Hi. Just before I start, I forgot to say timestamps are in the description. So if you just want to listen to all the fucking patch notes stuff, you can just skip that. I'll try to make the endeavors quick too, because it's going to be a long-ass video. Alright, bye. Hi everybody, Jackson here. Welcome back to the Daily Endeavors for the 16th of April. So before I get into this, firstly, I'm using the video broadcast main app now instead of the OBS one because it just got an update. I want to see if that stupid shit with the popping is still going to happen now, but I think my voice should be better, or at least sound, I don't know, more like bassy than it used to. So hopefully that's the thing. But yeah, it should sound a little bit better than it used to. Hopefully, that's the intention. But the main thing I want to talk about here is the daily has not reset on NA yet. As I'm making this video, but I will go through the dailies when it does. But I just want to start off with a little bit of a run through of the patch notes, because on PTS the update 46 stuff has actually released, and there are a few things I want to cover. Some things will just be like silly, and like you shouldn't judge anything I say based on like the numbers or anything, or theory crafting, because I'm not good at that sort of thing. But I just want to cover a few things that might interest some of the player base, because there's quite a few things. There's some tweaks to classes, there's some changes to the stats, there's a new trial, there's a new mythic, a few new mythics actually. There's some champion point changes which I think are important to go through, and probably one of the most important things is vengeance. There's actually some information on vengeance. But yeah, let's start it up. So the very first thing you need to know about PTS is, while none of this is set in stone, it's the very start of the PTS. Some of this stuff will definitely change, but ZeniMax does have a tendency to let stupid things through the wire. It's been happening forever. Basically, remember Viper's thing. They have some stupid shit. So subclassing is going to be, you can go through that stuff if you want on the PTS. But yeah, I'll just start from the top and of all the things that I think are important to talk about. So we've got Solstice, it's a new zone. Now, based on what I've seen, it looks pretty small, considering that it's like an $80 DLC. It looks the size of like one of those 15 or 2,000 crown DLC zones. It's pretty crazy to me. But again, for like someone who isn't good at like theory crafting or anything, I can't say if my understanding of that is any good. Got a new trial. It's got a skin, and mount, all that stuff. The mount, I would assume, would be related to the trifecta achievement, so most people won't be able to get that. Some other stuff about PTS notes, just hard mode stuff, probably don't worry about that too much. There's some more titles, which is always good, though honestly, there's fucking heaps of titles now. So there's some new overland sets. There's only one crafted set, normally with main chapter zones. Don't know if this is really a chapter anyway, but usually there's 3. There's only 1. I assume there's going to be another crafted set, or maybe 2 crafted sets coming out the second part of this, because the point of this zone is it's going to be like 2 parts. It's going to be half the zone, and then later on add the other half. But even then, the whole zone seems like the size of a chapter, and it's still more expensive, so I don't know. It just seems a bit lacking to me. Some more sets related to the trial. These will usually be quite strong, as they always are with these trials. It's part of why they, part of the incentive to buy these DLCs. So yeah, they usually make them quite expensive in order to try and sell copies. The mythics, same thing. These mythics look quite strong. This one just seems like a meme. Don't think it'll ever be reliable, especially compared to Saint and Seducer. That just looks way stronger, mainly in PvP. But this seems funny. Seems like an interesting thing. Yeah, people will laugh at the cheese wheel. I don't really care about that, but yeah. This one looks very interesting for heavy attack builds. Basically, you don't restore resources anymore with heavy attack builds, but usually I feel like the stain isn't that big of a deal. I suppose if you want to run health and magic food, it's going to be a problem, but based on what it seems, it's going to make your heavy attacks way stronger anyway. So what you can do instead, I suppose, is just heavy attack, and it will still deal shit tons of damage if you run it on like a typical heavy attack build, and don't even cast skills, you know. Just have like 5 buff skills on your bar, see how that goes. Yeah, but that's the thing. Light attacks do low damage. Additional resources for off-balance enemies. I don't know how that's going to work, because heavy attacks no longer restore resources. I don't know if it's going to be a different thing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, 50% extra heavy attack damage, going to be pretty ridiculous for heavy attack builds, I think. But will it replace Oaken Soul? That's what I'm not sure about. Because Oaken Soul also gives you Empower. So you'd have to use a set which gives you Empower at that point. And there's other buffs that Oaken Soul give you, but is it as much as 50% on your heavy attacks? I'm not too sure. And does this apply to the cleave on heavy attack? That's what I don't know. This one here basically gives you, on your main bar, it gives you 2 powerful damage buffs, and then a damage taken debuff. On the back bar, it gives you 2 powerful defensive buffs, and 1 sort of not super important, but still quite damaging debuff. Minor Timidity, for those who are not familiar, this reduces your ultimate generation, or it removes ultimate. I think it's 1 per second for 10 seconds or some shit like that. But yeah, I mean, considering that it doesn't have a cooldown now, or it doesn't have a duration, it's whenever you're on the back bar, might not be great. But, you know, Major Protection is a crazy buff. Major Force is a fucking crazy damage buff. Minor Berserk's a pretty good buff too. Some classes usually have this by default though. But yeah, Minor Vulnerability, damage taken, not great. So yeah, we'll see how that looks. But it looks quite strong. Major Force is fucking crazy. That's 30. Is it 30 or 20% bonus crit damage? 20%. Okay. Yeah. So basically, whenever you're on the front bar, you get a buff that gives you 20% more crit damage. So yeah, quite strong in PvP, I would wager. What next? Okay, so the green champion point changes. That's what's next. So this is the stuff I talked about a little while ago with the sneak peek sort of thing. So you can look through that if you want, but it's just, yeah, it's just the Finishing Vault for ESO Plus members and the Golden Pursuit for returning players. Map improvements should be good. I would hope in this the Oridon one will change to Vocal Guard, because right now if you look at the map, the world map, it's the one in Skywatch. I would prefer to be able to access the one in Vocal Guard myself, but that's just me, I think. I don't know. Some other people agree with me, though. Yeah, we'll see. Unknown Master Writs. I haven't received one of these. Maybe it's like old ones that are like... I don't know. I haven't received one of these. There are like fake Master Writs that used to be able to link, but they didn't. You didn't actually get the item for them, so I don't know. Console add-ons will be great. Basically, Rejoice console players, you'll be able to get things like Lazy Brick Crafter and Item Set Browser and like the trial announcement add-ons. Subclassing. So something I didn't know about subclassing here is that, so TLDR, you'll be able to get 2 skill lines to replace the ones you currently have from other classes, but you can't get 2 of the same class. So as you can see here, 1 Templar skill line and 1 other class skill lines. So you can't have 2 of a different class. So in this case, like, you can't have 2 of these skill lines here from a Nightblade if you're another class. You'd have to do like 1 from a Nightblade, 1 from a Sorcerer, and then one of the ones that your current class has. I think that's better. Personally, I just feel like 1 class skill line would have been better, just because, I don't know, I just feel like it takes away some of the identity that some of these classes have. But yeah, that's personal preference. I know it's not a big deal. But I'm kind of, I don't know, it just feels weird if it was... Like, I wouldn't like having 2 skill lines from the same class. I do like that they don't allow that. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but that's just how I feel. I feel like you're just bringing too much of one other class into it, if that's the case. I mean, it's... I think Fengrosh pointed it out, like, explained it better than I could, where this will probably be nice for a few weeks, and then it'll just feel like everything else. It'll just be cookie-cutter builds. Armory builds, which is good, means you can save like certain things. If you want to try other stuff, you can just revert it to what you had that you liked before. Progression across your entire account. So when you level up 1 skill line for 1 character, it'll count for every single character after that, which is good. I can't imagine doing that across every fucking character. That'd be ridiculous. New champion star, Discipline Artisan. Increase the amount of experience gained for active skill lines and abilities. That seems really fucking helpful. Yeah. So, you know, this is, I don't know what active skill lines are. I assume this is just abilities that deal active damage and not passives. I'm not too sure what active skill lines are exactly, but being able to skip some of the grind to get some of these is going to be good. Just not having to wait so long to be able to morph and level stuff up is helpful. Additional callouts. Yeah, skill lines are leveled slower. That's going to be interesting. More fucking grind. 2 skill points to purchase. That's another big thing. That's going to be brutal. For new characters, especially. Because a thing about scribing is you don't need skill points for scribing. Just gonna... I mean, that doesn't matter. I'm not gonna... I was just worried about the log app inactivity, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not playing anyway. Locked on character level and skill line rank. So a character at level 3, you can't just get like a level 50 class skill line, I assume. You know, so that doesn't happen. Some new homes, new furnishings, champion points. This is what I wanted to talk about. A lot of these really difficult ones to get to, or not difficult, just time-consuming ones to get to. War Mount, 120. It's now 75. Much better. Gifted Rider going from 100 to 50. That's great. Master Gatherer reduced to 50. That's great. Cut Purse's Art reduced from 75 to 25. It's really a lot easier to get to. Wanderers reduced. That's really good as well. Because you can get cheaper Wayshrine uses quicker. Oh, God. Sorry. Talking way too fast. Liquid efficiency down to 50. This is great. This one is ludicrous, mainly because there's no milestone sections. It's just from 0 to 75. So just like Treasure Hunter, it only affects you once you get to the maximum, which is 75. That's a lot. It's a good passive, but it just takes fucking forever to get to. So reducing that little grind there is going to be helpful, I think. Soul Reservoir, 33 to 30. I feel like this is just to make it look a bit neater. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a bit funny, that one. Okay, so pet limitations. This one's interesting to me. So go down here. So in a PvP zone, the limitation will now be 5. So that means... Like, for example, stock pets, you've got your 2, you've got your Atronach, and then you can have 2 more. Not a problem in PvE, sorry, but in PvP, I think necromancers get more than 5 pets at a time sometimes. Just with all the corpses, like corpse effects. So I'm not sure how this is going to go. This is going to be weird, I think. That's the thing. I don't PvP, so I wouldn't know. Yeah, I think that's the only thing. And also the fact that you can have multiple skill lines of pets. That's the main reason they did it, to stop you from having like Sorcerer summoning skill line, maybe like Nightblade with the shade, with the shadow skill line, and then Necromancer with the skill line full of like the or maybe, oh yeah, you can only have one Necromancer skill line. So yeah, the one with like the ghosts and stuff. Or the blast phones and the other one that you summon. I can't remember what it's called. The one that stays like 20 seconds. Stuff like that. So you can only have a maximum of 5. So that seems quite limiting for some cases. But again, I don't know. I don't know for sure. Some stuff related to sneaking is quite funny, because I would have thought these sorts of things would take you out of sneak to begin with, but apparently not. So they've done that. Yeah, not much else to say there. Okay, so skill lines, here we go. DK, I think it's like so they're getting a sustain nerf. So combustion is their sustain, and then battle roar is their sustain. These are both getting nerfed. They're getting a buff to the damage over time on some of their skills, and they're getting a buff to how much armor they have. So yeah. I think the sustain is a big problem, though, because Dragon Knights are known for having good sustain in PvP, and I think this is going to be a bit of a problem for them. Templar, there's a lot of stuff, but basically the Atrix, the Puncturing Strikes ability is now going to have a cap, so 6 enemies maximum, but they, unlike now where it deals most damage to one and then lesser damage to the others, it deals all of its damage to the 6 enemies. So sometimes this will be good, sometimes this will be bad, because this version that's on live, it has no cap, so it can hit as many enemies as you want, but this is only 6. So in cases where you've only got a few enemies and you want good cleave, this will be good. But in cases like public dungeons and Skyreach and stuff, where there's like tons of enemies on you, might not be as good, I think. But keep in mind, the heal on puncturing sweeps is not changed. That has actually got a cap of 6. Fucking hell, I've been playing this game for 10 years, had no idea that this heal had a cap. Bloody learn something new every day. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. And this also has changed a little bit, but yeah, that's most of the stuff for Templar. But Beam, this is the main thing I wanted to talk about. Radiant Glory and Oppression, and Radiant Destruction. This is the thing here. The channel time has been raised from 1.8 to 4.8 seconds. This is fucking ludicrous. That's a 4.8 second channel. The thing is, there is one morph. Or is it? No, I think that it said something. Oh yeah, it's dodgeable as well in PvP. Fucking crazy. Fuck, where is it? There's a section that explains. Fuck, where is it? I've fucking read somewhere that it doesn't get interrupted for the first 2 seconds. I don't know what's going on there. A few things to restoring light as well. Yeah, okay, here we go. Fucking Nightblades. So. Am I reading this correctly? Grim Focus is now... You can fire it twice. So you can get a max of 10 stacks, and it uses 5 stacks per spectral bow. So you can... It's basically a double-barrel shotgun. So I don't think we needed this. But sure. Alright. Sure. We'll take it. And Magicka Flood, this is no longer just Max Magicka, it's Max Magicka and Stamina, so you're getting both, even though it's still called Magicka. Soul Sharpener, reduce the healing done at the rank 1, which is, I don't know. What does this mean for the second rank? Is the second rank the same? And in that case, it doesn't really matter anyway, because you just go to the second passive when you're higher level. I guess this affects... I don't know, did they just tooltip this wrong, and it means that both ranks? Because if not, if this is actually what they've done, if it's just rank 1, then sure, like, I guess below 50, Nightblades will be slightly nerfed. But other than that, I don't think this is going to change anything. Also getting more max health, as if we needed that already. Okay, and Daedric Summoning, this is the thing too, with Sorcerers. From what I read with all this, non-pet Sorcerers aren't really a thing anymore with this skill line. Because all of the effects are applying, like, you only get bonuses to having a pet active. So the take from this is that if you want to go a pet sorcerer, you just swap it with one of the other skill lines, but I don't really like this personally. I enjoy running this skill line without pets, even though there's like fuck all that I get, because you still get ward, which, yes, it heals you, which is kind of ridiculous, but the having an effect that is without having pets is cool. And, you know, I use Curse too. I like the idea of a non-pet Sorc with still using Daedric Summoning without pets. It's just, I don't know, I just quite like it. And because you look at this, it removes all of the effects while not having a pet active, and it's just if you have a pet active. So you don't get any of this if you don't have a pet. It's fucking stupid, I think. Same thing with this. You need to have a pet active now. So I'm just not a big fan of this. Because, yeah, Bound Ornaments, too, is a good skill, I think. Bound Armor. And, yeah, Curse, obviously. Everything else is... Hurricane's no longer getting a final damage tick, which is... yeah, I guess. That's a thing. Persistence... Yeah, they're changing some of the stuff here and putting it on this skill line, which is another thing where they're like, just get rid of it. If you don't want to be a non-pet Sorc, if you want to be a non-pet Sorc, just get rid of the skill line. Guess I'll put something else there. Yeah, Mage's Fury, this is no longer lasting 4 seconds, so it's harder. You need to use it at the end of a burst setup, but it's still going to be just as good as before. You just gotta not use it as early. And yeah, just some more passive changes. Warden, oh boy. So I won't really talk about this. It's just small changes, but they seem like a buff. But yeah, Northern Storm. The duration is going up to 20 seconds from 13. So that's just the effect of the buff it gives, not the actual effect of the ultimate itself. Getting the damage reduced, but the weapon and spell damage is being changed to damage done per stack, so it won't affect your heals as much when it's active, but you get 2% damage done per stack, and the stacks go up to what is it? I think it's... So this is the effect right now. So as the storm holds, every 1 second you get a stack, up to 9 stacks maximum, with weapon and spell damage by 50. So right now, it would normally be what? So it's 2%, so times 9, you get 18% damage done. So that's more than... That's like Soul Harvest, but on every enemy. Like, I mean, obviously it's at the very end of the skill, but it's being increased to 20 seconds and stacking up to 12. Oh, sorry, the duration's changing. What's the max stacks here? What is the max stacks here? Because does that mean you can get to 40? Surely not. But yeah, 20 seconds of stacks, and you get tons of damage done from it. So that seems fucking ludicrous to me. Yeah, I don't know. Theory crafters will know what they're talking about with this, but it just seems fucking nuts to me. Frozen Gate, some stuff, and just some changes here. Piercing Cold is becoming easier to use for just like general play, which is good, I guess. Necromancers, kind of weird, and just from what I can see here, little changes that are just not enough, I think. They just, I don't know, they just seem still underwhelming to me. The only thing is here, like, the spammable generates corpses a lot more. Fucking Arcanist. Right, are you sitting down? I hope you are, if you're an Arcanist player. Lockie, look away. So, Fate Carver, increase the cost of this ability and its morphs by 40%! Jesus Christ. It's good to see they're still doing these nerf hammers that are basically a giant maul and just fucking smashing the shit out of you. Yeah, that's going to be rough. Increase the damage though by 8%, so there's a little bit of a buff there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Oakensoul 1-bar Arcanist builds can use... oh yes, reset it now. Yeah, to see if Arcanist 1-bar builds can use like health and magicka food or health and stamina food, because right now they can. Like, they have so much sustain. So I'm interested to see. That probably won't have much effect really, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe they should have to heavy attack once in a rotation or some shit. Yeah, just some other stuff. Some I think just making certain buffs do the right thing. A buff to your armor as well for one of the passives there, and yeah, just some other stuff. Some changes to skill lines here. Not really much to say. Just that the this ultimate here, I think the morph is considered direct damage now. Yeah, for the one people using this ultimate. Blessing of Protection, you can no longer apply its buffs through like walls and shit, from what I read from this, which is nice. And just I assume visual change there. Right, all shields. This is interesting to me because this stuff isn't too interesting. They realize that they've went against their own rules here, basically. This is supposed to cost a lot more than it currently does, so they're changing that. But I think when I see this, right, so they've said, when we originally made this ability, we were worried about how it would fit into many builds, as the notion of chambering abilities is more complex and skill-reliant than other straightforward activations. Are they calling us dumb here? Like, too dumb to be able to use this properly? Are they calling the general public... I'm not talking about, like, the theory crafters, right? They're fucking smart. Are they calling the general public too stupid to use Ulstild? That's what I'm getting from this. And in that case, maybe we're too. And the funny thing is, this is how the however bit is not. We realized that it wasn't too difficult. It's that, however, we made a case where one of these was too easy to use. So Lamau stuff change, like 2 changes to scripts. Some other stuff. Where was it? There was a change to try start potions. Yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, all right. Look, I'll just wait till later to talk about that. But that's also really cool. Footman's Fortune, basically doubling the damage you can block with this set. This is a Dragon Star Arena set. This is old. So yeah, interesting that they're buffing that. Highland Sentinel no longer makes you dismount, which is funny. Azure of Light, didn't they nerf the shit out of this set so nobody uses it anymore? But it requires an additional 20 stacks of Blight Seed for each group member. So I guess it affects group ball groups and Gyarados? Or does it not affect players anymore? I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It just says the additional monster hit. Okay, so just players. That bit doesn't affect players. So mostly useless from PvP anyway. Some changes to these. I'll let the bloody theory crafters go through that shit. I'm not smart enough to know. Some changes to Slivers of the Nile. Here's one I wanted to talk about too. I wish this didn't have a stun myself. So they're changing it a little bit. I assume this is to it no longer counts as a summon, which is nice, so you're not hitting the summon cap. But I really wish this didn't stun enemies, because they get CC immunity, and so tanks can't pull them in. In PvE, I'd love to use this set as a proc set. It's like the only decent, one of the few decent light armor proc sets in the game. I wish I could use it, but because it stuns enemies, because it has like a knock-up section. So if we go Mad Tinkerer, so yeah, knocking them in the air and stunning them for 2 seconds. For tanks who want to pull all the enemies in and stack them up, this set is like the counterproductive to that. So I wish I would just take the stun away and make it do just lots of shock damage myself. That's just how I feel. Otherwise, I just don't use this because I don't want to inconvenience the tanks and trials and shit. It just seems silly because it's an overland set, so it's easy to get, but it's just counterintuitive. So yeah, that sucks. So Mad Tinkerer, the main quest changes. Yeah, so they're making some of the fights more difficult. Oh no, I used to do that all the time. Less exploitable. So you could just skip this part by just going to the sigil stones and destroying them. That sucks. Rip Pacifist Run. Honestly. Yeah. So they're making certain fights more difficult. Now, most of this I'm not too worried about. But this one here, the Risen Saints. This fight, I believe, is fucking hard enough already. Especially the last group of enemies. They actually... I did this recently on a bunch of characters with no champion points, and I struggled big time on this fight. So, them increasing the difficulty on this, I'm not too sure, Chief. Everything else I can understand, but this one here, you basically have to rely on the... If you're like low champion points, you have to rely on tons of healing or like cheese them by just having your the companions do all the fucking tanking for you. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. Everything else, fair enough. Especially Molagval, he feels super weak. Furthermore, completely revamped. Each quest gives you relevant skill point, but now it's gear appropriate for your level and how many players. Okay, cool. So there's a reason to do it. I feel like, I don't know. I'll see what gear you actually get. Depends on what sets they are, if they're actually good sets. But most of the ones at that point are fucking useless anyway, so... Vengeance campaign, here we go. So there's like no talk about this in any of the like conversation things that I checked out there. It's the same as the Vengeance campaign we had that week, where it was just the class skill lines and no sets or anything. But now we're getting weapon, assault, and support skill lines too. I'm quite excited for this actually. I want to try this. As long as sets don't impact anything, and as long as cross heals aren't ridiculous. And because no ball groups, lots of players doing it. That'll be where it's the most fun, I think. Because I love when there's just tons of players, and skill doesn't really matter. I'm not very good at PvP, so it's just crazy that they just didn't talk at all about this. But I'm fucking excited for that. And yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about before. Try restoration potions. You'll be able to buy them for AP. So Ben Grosh mentioned RIP Columbine farmers. Yeah, that's probably going to go down in price, I think. But yeah, that's good. I think that's good. Hellfire Stones. Oh, now we claimed an active Battleground. Okay. Cool. Something resisting stones. Sack. What? I had no idea. Wow. Archive, Infinite Archive Daily Coffer. Yeah, here we go. The item that you get from coffers, if they have item like the set items in them, they're now curated, collimated. Yeah, cool. I don't know what coffer this is. I never get an item set coffer from the daily reward. Is that when you complete the is that when you're finished with the mount? I wonder. Probably, yeah. In that case, hell yeah. Any curation is fucking great. I can add more of that shit in the game, please. And then last thing I wanted to talk about is, yeah, the Endeavors. I'm the Endeavors guy, so this is supposed to be important to me. Endeavors and Golden Pursuits asking you to improve items and claim daily login rewards. Now we'll specify the number required in the text. This is something I talked about with, especially with the improve items one. So this is good. I like that they did this. But this one, Golden Pursuits and Endeavors abilities, when you slay delve bosses, will now increment only once, regardless of how many players participate in the fight. Rest in peace. This was something I loved using. So when you had like 5 players attacking a single delve boss at a time, even if they weren't in your group, it would count for the Endeavor progress per player. So if there was like defeat 5 delve bosses, you only had to do it once if there's 5 players attacking it, because it would count 5 times. It was so good. But yeah, that one's gone too. So back to sitting there for fucking 25 minutes waiting for it to respawn a bunch of times. Great. And then what was this one again? Required. Oh yeah. I had issues with this one too. So whenever if you'd go to a crafting station, right, like a blacksmithing station, and you'd go to the bottom and just start spamming left click to increase the amount of items that you're crafting, it would not count multiple items of that. Only in the case of alchemy, I think it would count. But now that they've apparently changed that, which is good, because you'd craft like 50 rings at once, and it would only count for 1. Yeah, it was fucking rough. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. Yeah, that was not fun. But it's not really fun issue. It's just waste of resources for the Endeavors and the Golden Pursuits. Some other stuff, some quest changes, which is nice. But yeah, that's the main stuff I wanted to talk about. Everything else is just like stuff that I don't think I'm like well versed in the sort of stuff that needs, like theory crafting, to know what to say. Okay, oh boy, how long was that? Fuck, 30 minutes. All right. So now I will get into the Endeavors themselves. All right. I'm going to try and do this a little differently to normal. I'm just going to try and speed up how quickly I do these, because especially with this video already being 30 minutes long, I don't want to waste too much of your time. Alright, so firstly, let's start explaining the Endeavors. 15 seals, pickpocketing, deconstructing at a jury table, killing insects, completing a battleground, and defeating enemies with scribed abilities. I think depends on DLCs you own. This one requires Gold Road, this one requires Summerset. If you can do these 3 or these 3, basically ignore a Battleground, I think that's best. Because Battleground with a Guildmate, that sucks. So that's my recommendation there. But definitely do Jury Crafting. This one's very easy. So I'll start with this one. Jury Crafting, there's no real like side tracks to this. The only thing I can suggest to you is either craft 8 pewter rings. In this case, I'm just going to do 7 so it doesn't fill out all the Endeavor progresses. And then you just deconstruct them. You can do it that way. You can get Jury from either completing writs for intricate ones, or you can complete dolmens like this. Every dolmen that you complete gives you a chest that always has 1 Jury piece in it. And you will also maybe get a couple of Jury pieces while you're completing the dolmen itself. In regards to the Golden Pursuit, it's also part of one of the, or 3 of the challenges here, all incursions. All 3 of these dolmens count for, so that's another thing you can do. Okay. Insects and arachnids. So my preferred method for this is to go to Spindle Clutch. You can come here from any way shrine once you unlock it. If you need to unlock it first, look up this house here in the home tours section, because that will bring you here. All you do is just travel a little bit north, and then you'll have it from that point on, so it's really easy to get to. A couple of other good places, I think. In Blakerock Isle, you've got Hunter's Camp. This is full of the frostbite-looking ones, or the blue and white ones. In Betneek, you've also got some spiders between Morothelli and the Grimfield Way Shrine here. There'll be some around this ravine section here. There's a couple of other places too, like you've got some spiders here in Hrogar's Hold. There's some spiders in the... where are they? There's like a bunch of... I think it's through here. There's a bunch of goblins, and they have a couple of spiders there too. So there's a couple of places you can go to that have a bunch of spiders. This area here, there's a house called Kragenholm. You can see it here. You can also look this up in Home Tools if you want easy access to these sections of spiders here. There's definitely more out there, but aside from Spindle Clutch, I don't really ever use them, because Spindle Clutch is instant, so nobody else can get in here, so they'll always be ready to go when you are. If you don't want spiders as like a arachnophobic thing, Darkshade Caverns 1, past the first 3 waves of enemies, there are a bunch of Quama. They also count as insects, so you can kill them instead. There's also over 5 in the very start of Darkshade's Cavern 2, but they're quite tough as well, so not the easiest thing to kill. Alright, so now we'll talk about Scribed abilities. The issue I have with Scribed abilities is you want AoE with Scribed abilities to kill lots of enemies quick, because you need 55. That's more than other ones. The only like defeat enemies is like even close to it, and that's like 50. It's quite ridiculous. But what you want is AoEs. I think the best AoEs for Scribed abilities is Magical Contingency, Magical Burst, and Magical Explosion. You can have a Spamble, Magical Stole too, if that helps. I also use Trample, though I'm not I use it once and then just use the other stuff. But yeah, Magical Burst and Contingency, these are going to be the 2 main ones that you use, the easiest ones to get. This one's also not too bad, but it's a cast, like Spamble channel. So if enemies interrupt you, you have to wait a little bit to be able to cast against pain in the ass, whereas these are instant cast. Can also be fast caught while you're doing it, whereas these ones aren't. There's a lot of fucking cast on ones, it's a pain in the ass. But anyway, so you want sets that increase your just damage done. You don't want proc sets like Venomous Smite, Whirl of the Depths, Pillar of Nirn, things like that. You want things like Order's Wrath, Coral Riptide, or False Gods is fine, Mother Sorrows, Brigand, Hunting's Rage, Twice More Style with 2 Munderstone, things like that will be better, because proc sets will count as killing it without a Scribed ability, so it'll get in the way of this if you want. Also, using any skill that isn't a Scribed ability is obviously a problem, because they'll take the kills. Maybe using something like Stampede or the other Morph of Wall might be good, because that applies a weapon enchant on the back and increases your overall damage. But if you have like Magical Explosion on the back bar, you can also do that, kind of. Not the same as this, but yeah, you could also do that. Anyway, so what I usually use, I use Trample. I start with Trample here. I put on Ulsild. I usually do 1 cast of Destro, and then just Ulsilds and Magical Burst over and over. And then when there's only a few left, I start using this one, the Magical Burst. And try not to light attack either, because that will also count as a non-Scribed ability. So yeah, there's really not much you have use here. Like you just can't left click or anything. Yeah, can't use things like class skills too. That'll go in the way. So try not to use those too. I like sorcerers for this because they get an ability to heal while dealing damage. I find Scribed abilities don't have many options for healing on the go when you're dealing damage, which is something I like for convenience, but yeah, they have Surge. Nightblades are also great with siphoning attacks. That also heals you while you're dealing damage, and it doesn't need to crit even. It's just less of a heal compared to Surge. Yeah, that's my recommendation for that. So if you can find a public dungeon, or maybe a area of Spellscar that's not busy, or just doesn't have any players in it, that would be best. because the enemies will be weaker than the ones in dungeons, and as long as there's no players, you won't have any issues. Because God, sorry. All right, so the issue is players, if they get a kill with their Scribed abilities, won't count for you, so it's not great. So you just want to find any area that's got lots of enemies that players can't get to, and you can handle the amount of enemies that are there. Because if you've only got these two, which is probably going to be the case for a lot of people, because there's a lot of setup required to getting all this stuff. These two here, just because the AoE is so small, I just find trying to kill little enemies that are weaker is better, because otherwise you'll just be casting so many times just to kill a bunch of enemies in something like Skyreach, for example. But if you can handle Skyreach and stuff like that, definitely do it. Alright, pickpocketing. There's 3 things to consider with pickpocketing to make your life easier. Firstly is the green effect, when you basically just wait. There it is there. So after like 5 to 10 seconds goes past, the percent chance will increase by 20%. That's the only way to get this. It's just a wait. It's just like a pattern thing. Yeah, like that. The other 2 ways, one is to be a Khajiit. Khajiit get a passive that increases their pickpocketing chance. I think it's the flare one. I think it's like 5 or 10%, something like that. The only other main way, and the sort of the main thing that will give you a lot of your pickpocketing, is this one here, Light Fingers. Increases it by 50% at tier 4 of the passive. The only problem is this requires a fuck ton of legend domain leveling in order to get. You basically have to you basically have to optimally level the skill line, and that will still take you days because of just how legend domain works to level. So it will take you a while getting this one, but if you can get this, it's really, really helpful. Really kicks in at the 4th one. So all you can do is just go up behind people, wait for just make sure they're not moving around so you can stay behind them, wait for the green effect, and then try then. And that's all there is to it. Sometimes you'll get to places like this and they'll all be dead. In that case, you've got 2 things that you can do, because people come through and murder all the people here. It's annoying because when they're murdered, you can't pickpocket them. It's a fucking pain in the ass. There's a lot of them here though. There's tons of them in here, and then there's a couple of back here. There's also a couple of people over here that you can pickpocket. There's a couple of cities you can do this too. Shadowstula is great. Oh, I said not a Tambu, bloody out of instinct. Shadowstula is great. There's a lot of people here with easy pickpocketing chances that you can use here. And then I also quite like Bergama in Alika Desert. I find this place is just not many players go here, and there's lots of pickpocketing options here too. And yeah, you can do that with like lots of towns, but yeah, they're my preferred ones. And after that, I myself actually use Dark Brotherhood Black Sacraments, because these give you instant civilians that still let you pickpocket them, you can also you'll get a bounty in there, that guaranteed. But I mean, you'll get a bounty fucking doing this anyway, usually, unless you're like level 20 in Leisure Domain, and like in that case, you're probably going to do the other ones anyway, because you probably own all the DLC at that point. But the quest that you get for Black Sacraments, if you abandon it, it takes you straight out. So, and you can just re-accept the quest and do it again, and it just gives you as many NPCs as you need. In order to do it. But yeah, you will definitely get a bounty. Regardless of which way you do it, you'll probably get a bounty. That's why I suggest doing this one at the very end, if you can. Because that way, if you log off or go to bed or go to work or whatever, the bounty will probably be gone by the time you get back. Alright, last one. Battleground with a Guildmate. Fucking, as if I didn't want to do Battlegrounds enough already. Just have to do this endeavor with a bloody Guildmate as well. That sucks. So the only way to queue or get a Battleground is to queue here. If you do it with a guildmate in a group, I assume that it will only allow you to queue for groups. If you do 4v4, that will probably be a little bit quick, because everybody's maybe... people are probably not doing this one much. But I definitely think 4v4's got a quicker queue rate, just because you're only looking for 8 people as opposed to 16. But yeah, do what you think's best. If you... You also don't need to join a guild in order to get this one done. You can make a guild yourself. So I've got this one here that I made before, but you can just make one immediately. It doesn't let me make another one, does it? Yeah, no, it doesn't. So what I would do if you really want to get this one done, and you don't need an actual guildmate or a friend. Definitely better with a friend, but you don't actually be in like a big guild together. What you can do is create a guild right now. You just go here, creating a join a guild. It'll have a button down here that you press. You can create your own guild. If you don't know, if you can't find a name, just call it guild, and then just find a random number and just put that in words, and that will allow you to make the guild. Have them join. It'll take 2 seconds. Just make sure you group up after you join the guild, because I think there's a couple of issues that I've found in the past with guildmate ones. If you join the guild before you get into the Battleground, I think, or get into whatever content. Because there was an Infinite Archive one with the guildmate earlier that I could never do, because I joined the guild. I had them both go into a guild that I just made after I entered Archive. Sorry. Let me do that again. That was not quite clear. What I did was I joined an Infinite Archive. Like I went into Infinite Archive. I added them to the group. They came into Infinite Archive. Then I made the guild. So I think that can have issues. So just make sure you make the guild and have them join it and join a group before you get into the Battleground. I think that's the only thing. And I'm not the person who knows how to explain Battlegrounds. There's different things. Deathmatch is just killing players and not getting killed yourself. Domination is, I think, capturing flags. No. It's holding points. And Crazy King is like holding points that change, I believe. And there's like different things related to it. And then basically just look up PvP guides, like PvP builds online, and you'll find some stuff that will help you get this sort of thing done. But yeah, it doesn't matter what happens. Even if you do like absolutely abysmal, you don't have to win it. You just have to finish it. That's it. You just have to get to the end. So unless you get disconnected, then it'll be fine. And yeah, obviously you have to make sure you have a guildmate. That just seems so fucking inconvenient though. Alright, so any questions about any of this stuff, as always, just let me know. But yeah, daily's done. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support as always. If you think this one's better than when I go a bit more in detail on stuff, just let me know. But yeah, thanks guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.